Hi guys, so today we are going to be discussing the history behind the legendary fashion designer Giorgio Armani. Wow, we actually play in some Armani beauty makeup that was actually sent to us, okay? So all the products that I am using in this video will be linked. Everything that I'm using, all the links will be included in this video. So let's hop right into it. Also, the reason I'm creating this video is to inspire other fashion designers, other emerging designers, inspiring fashion designers by talking about fashion history. So if you have a particular designer that you would love to hear me talk about or go down like the history of fashion for, rather old or new, please feel free to send over those names because I just want to share the history and the stories behind any successful fashion designers out there so that it can help and inspire others. Because if you're really into fashion and you're not just into just dressing, you know that fashion is an art and fashion is more than just dressing. There's so much that comes behind fashion. So if you love talking about the history, the politics behind fashion, fashion is more than just the clothes. You know what I mean? So if that's you, then you're in the right place. And you know how important talking about these types of things in fashion history. So Giorgio Armani was born on July 11th, 1934 in a city called Piacenza, a quiet town in northern Italy. He was the middle child of Ugo Armani, a shipping manager, and Maria Raimondi, a homemaker. He was brought up on very humble beginnings, was taught to be humble and to work hard. His upbringing was very modest. Money was indeed tight, but his dignity and his style were never lacking. His mother made sure she kept the family impeccably dressed, okay, even during hard times. Giorgio will remember that simplicity and pride and presentation. Who would have known that would have been a seed that would one day blossom into a design empire? Now, Armani's childhood was shadowed by the chaos of World War II. Bombs fell over Piacenza. He and his siblings would often hide in cellars to survive. Once, while playing with unexploded shell, he was badly burned and a childhood friend died, and things became very difficult during the war. But these were the years that truly shaped him. They taught him resilience, and restraint became not just a necessity, but it became a style. Now, while most kids and children were not quite sure what they wanted to be when they grew up, Armani was different. He initially dreamed of becoming a doctor. He enrolled in the University of Milan in 1950 to study medicine. Fascinated by the anatomy and the human form, he worked extremely hard to pursue his childhood dreams and become a doctor, but after 3 years, he left because he was unable to find a job in dissecting bodies. That's when he then decided to up and change careers and enrolled into the military until he figured out what he wanted to do in life. Now, Armani didn't fight in the war due to his medical background, but the military service stationed in Verona, he worked in a military hospital. So there he did see quite a lot of human vulnerability and elegance coexisting in a quiet formation period. After returning to Milan and feeling like he had 2 failed careers, Armani asked himself, what's next, okay? He went back to Milan to try to pursue other things outside of medicine, but during that time, 24% of the families in Italy were having a hard time surviving due to the economy. The economy was struggling, and at that time, it was hard for him to find a job without, common background. And until he then came across a retail job. Armani found himself working at La Rinascente, a high-end department store. He began as a window dresser, and then he later became a buyer, a fashion buyer, okay? This was where his true education in fashion, learning fabrics, colors, balance, and the art of persuasion came in. So, in the 1960s, Armani's talent caught the eye of the menswear designer Nino Cerati. Armani joins Cerati's design team in brain refining his signature approach, soft tailoring, neutral palettes, clean lines. He understood that power could be expressed in, it could be expressed through being subtle. By 1970, he was freelancing for several different brands, but something was missing: ownership, vision, and anatomy. So enter Sergio Gagliotti, an architectural draftsman and Armani's life partner. Gagliotti encouraged Armani to launch his own label, and that is when together they founded Giorgio Armani in 1975. Their first collection was a quiet revolution: jackets with no shoulder pads, trousers with relaxed drapes, colors like taupe, gray, soft blue. It was a counterpoint to the loud fashion at the time, and it worked. So the 1980s would be Armani's decade. His big break came in 1980 when he designed the wardrobe for Richard Gere, who ignited as a global obsession. Soon, Armani was dressing the stars of Miami Vice. He created a new uniform for modern success, the power suit, but reimagined. Unlike the flamboyant fashion of his peers, Armani's designs whispered. His restraint became his signature. So by the mid-1980s, Armani had expanded into women's wear, fragrance, accessories, and eventually global retail. So in a fashion world dominated by houses owned by families or corporations, Armani did something rare. He kept full control. In 1985, tragedy struck. Sergio, Armani's partner in life and business, died of AIDS. Armani was devastated, but he didn't stop. He took full leadership of the company and pushed forward. Grief became drive. The Armani brand expanded with incredible precision. Emporio Armani for younger consumers, Armani Exchange for casual wear, Armani Casa for interiors, Armani Privé for haute couture, Armani Beauty, and so much more. He even moved into hospitality, opening Armani hotels in cities like Milan and Dubai. But through it all, Armani never lost his way. He was intimately involved in every design, every campaign, and every stitch. Giorgio Armani became more than a designer. He became a symbol of Italian elegance, of restraint, or luxury without arrogance. His company remained one of the last major independent fashion houses, valued at over $10 billion. He was named a UN Goodwill Ambassador. He designed Olympic uniforms, footwear, football kits, even tech collaborations with Samsung. His approach to business was the same as his fashion: clean, structured, and disciplined. 2025, Giorgio Armani passed away at the age of 91 in Milan. Fittingly, the city that he helped put on the fashion map bid him farewell with a show that both tribute and finale. Richard Gere walked the runway. Kate Blanchett and Glenn Close paid tribute. Lauren Houghton wiped away tears. In his will, Armani ensured his brand would live on. Leadership passed on to his niece, Silvana Armani, and trusted collaborators. A portion of the company is to be sold to trusted luxury groups, but never fully handed over. Armani once said, "Elegance is not about being noticed, it's about being remembered." And remembered he will be, not just for how his clothes look, but for how they made people feel. He gave women strength without sacrificing femininity. He gave men ease without losing authority, and he gave the world a new visual language of style, one that whispers but never fades. Giorgio Armani showed that fashion doesn't need to scream. Sometimes it's the quietest voice in the room that commands the most attention. So that concludes my video on this makeup look from Giorgio Armani, Armani Beauty, and our fashion history session on Giorgio Armani. Hopefully you learned something new from this video throughout learning about Giorgio Armani's journey and his history, and just what he had to go through to actually become a fashion designer. Everyone's journey is different, and there is no one-way path. There is no one way to do it. So go out there, create, design, enjoy the process, and do what you have to do to build your brand and achieve your dreams so that you can one day tell your story and legacy story too. So until then, I love you guys and I will see you at the top. Peace.